Most people completely misunderstand the world's biggest game. Seriously, if you think you know how soccer works, you're probably wrong. The truth is, the foundation we've built our understanding of this sport on, it's basically a mountain of myths.
Like, think about it. Are sports actually won on pure talent and passion? Well, if you believe that, this explainer is going to challenge absolutely everything you thought you knew. Because once you strip away all that romanticized magic, the reality driving the game is way colder and honestly, way more fascinating.
Let's dive right in. For decades, we're talking about billionaire owners and legendary managers making literal million-dollar decisions based on, what? Gut instinct? Inherited traditions? It's essentially ancient lore. We've got massive global institutions running on pure, unadulterated guesswork.
And the famous baseball statistician Bill James really hit the nail on the head here. He said a great portion of the sport's traditional knowledge is ridiculous hokum. Ridiculous hokum. For the longest time, soccer completely dodged the Enlightenment. Instead of demanding hard evidence or rigorous data, clubs just kept doing things the way they'd always done them. They relied on completely irrational beliefs to build their teams.
Truth number 1. Gentlemen prefer blondes.
When you actually dig into the numbers, you quickly realize the transfer market is not some rational economic machine. It's actually driven by a massive psychological flaw called the availability heuristic. That's just a fancy way of saying our brains rely on immediate, standout examples that easily pop into our heads. And in soccer scouting, this leads to a frankly hilarious reality. Clubs consistently overpay for blonde players. Seriously, why? Because a blonde player just visually pops on a muddy green pitch. They literally stick in a scout's memory way easier than a player with dark hair. It's a real, site-based prejudice, and it has cost teams millions.
So, what we're really looking at is a massive clash between old-school gut instinct and clinical, data-driven strategy. Old-school managers constantly fall into the trap of buying shooting stars. They'll shell out a fortune for a guy just because he had one hot streak at a recent World Cup. But a rational, data-driven approach, it strips away all that noise. It completely ignores what a player looks like and zeroes in purely on repeatable statistical value.
Take a team that actually figured this out. Olympique Lyon. They built an absolute dynasty in France by exploiting these exact market blind spots, using some pretty ruthless rules. Rule 1, buy players in their early 20s because older guys are mathematically overvalued. 2, totally ignore the stars of recent World Cups. 3, sell a player the exact second another club offers more than their empirical worth. And the best part? They replace their best players before they even sell them. It's clinical, it's brilliant, and man, does it work. But here's the part most people completely miss. It's one thing to use math in the boardroom, right? But what happens when cold, clinical game theory steps onto the pitch? For literally the highest stakes moment in all of sports.
Truth number 2. Game theory in the goal.
Let's set the scene. It's the 2008 Champions League final in Moscow. Now, this wasn't just a soccer match, it was a high-stakes psychological heist. Before a ball is even kicked in a shootout, math is already dictating the outcome. The data is super definitive here. The team going first wins 60% of the time. 60%! The immense psychological pressure of constantly needing to score just to stay alive, it absolutely crushes the team going second.
And all of this built into an incredible psychological war. Chelsea went into this shootout carrying a secret weapon. It was a confidential report written by a Basque economist named Ignacio Palacios Huerta. This guy analyzed thousands of penalty kicks to find predictable patterns, and he found a big one. Manchester United's legendary goalkeeper, Edwin van der Sar, overwhelmingly dived to the kicker's right side against right-footed players. So the economist's advice to Chelsea was dead simple: kick to van der Sar's left.
For the first few kicks, Chelsea followed the plan flawlessly. But then comes the 7th penalty. It's right-footed Nicolas Anelka's turn. As Anelka walks up, van der Sar stands on the line, extends his arms, and explicitly points his left hand to the left corner. He was essentially telling him, "I know your secret strategy." This throws Anelka into a terrifying mental loop. Anelka knows that van der Sar knows that Anelka was told to kick left. Panicking, Anelka completely abandons the economist's plan. He kicks to the right, exactly at the mid-height he was specifically warned against, and boom, van der Sar saves it, winning the Champions League. That is game theory in its rawest, most devastating form.
Okay, so we know the millionaires on the field are totally subject to these hidden mathematical forces. But what happens when we flip that data-driven lens around and point it directly at you, the viewer sitting at home?
Truth number 3. The myth of fan loyalty.
If you consider yourself a diehard sports fan, get ready, because we're about to challenge some serious assumptions. We all love that romantic myth of the lifelong fan who bleeds their team's colors, right? Well, sociological data reveals something entirely different. It's a phenomenon called burging, which stands for basking in reflected glory. Basically, people magically become fans or totally switch their allegiances whenever a team starts winning. They just want to attach themselves to success. And when the team starts losing, they quietly drop away.
When you break down English fan loyalty based on decades of actual attendance data, the results are wild. That dedicated, lifelong, one-club fan we love to romanticize, they are actually the smallest sliver of the pie. They're a super rare species swimming in a massive ocean of serial supporters who just casually like a bunch of different teams. And an even larger chunk? Fair-weather burgers, who are quite literally just following the trophies.
Conclusion. Data tortures the truth.
When you take the data down into the basement and interrogate it, it strips away all the folklore of sports. It replaces those romantic myths of gut instinct and heroic loyalty with realities that are way more clinical, but infinitely more fascinating. The source material for this explainer perfectly sums up this counterintuitive behavior with an amazing line. We are an ocean of casual polygamists pretending to be a nation of loyalists. I mean, wow.
We've just seen how hidden numbers and psychological biases dictate everything. We're talking multi-million-dollar trades, the outcome of a penalty kick, and even our own supposedly unbreakable loyalties. Which leaves us with one pretty undeniable question to chew on. If the world's biggest game is secretly being run by cognitive biases and hidden math, what hidden lore and irrational instincts are running your life right now?